Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. There's a dinosaur ball on the course, but this is your daily dose of donkey with Ginger. We're coming in with some more sports talks. We're joined once again by the one and only Mutant Gingy to talk about off-season stuff.
Off-season stuff. Mutant Gingy here. What's up,
I'm
folks?
not sure the Jacks and Jennets are going to be into off-season football because off-season football sucks. But here we are to talk about it. Gingy, there's a couple things that went on. Yeah, you want to get us started with them?
Uh, Tom Brady restructuring his deal like a champ.
Yep. I was so confused when I read that contract. They're like, he signed a 4-year extension, which ties him to the Bucks till 2022. And I was like, 4 years to 2022? I'm a little bewildered here, but okay.
You've got Cam Newton, I believe, re-signing with New England, making himself
Yeah,
sort of
running
a
it back with the
long-term
Patriots.
thing there. So I don't know how that's going to work.
Oh, the Gingy did it, right? Good job, Gingy.
Woo! But other than that, not much off-season, big off-season splashes with the Steelers. We're re-signing a veteran, been away for a couple seasons now, B.J. Finney, for the line on a one-year
deal. Oh my
deal.
God, this is terrible. This is terrible. Yeah, yeah. How about you tell me your thoughts on that one? Because I do have some thoughts on that one.
I feel that's probably a guy who probably should have never been let go from the Steelers. I mean, he's not you're going to be your A+, but he knows the system and he seems to fit well, and I don't have a problem with that re-signing.
Me and you are going to differ on this. I do. He was in Pittsburgh for a while, and if we wanted him, we had more money to work with last year and could have kept him. And this is a guy who went to Seattle, which, did you watch that Seattle Seahawks offensive line last year? Terrible. And this is a guy who couldn't see the field on that team. This is a guy who, when he was the Steeler, do you know what his best skill was?
What's that, donkey?
His best skill was, hey, I can play guard and center. I don't play either one very well, but I can do them both. I mean,
we're desperate,
donkey.
Like his cap situation
that's
is
what
out of
I was
control.
going to say. It screams desperation. Oh, boy. Well,
like
better
that
than my
shot.
golf game right now. But you can't be a... Wow.
Yes,
This
sir.
is fun.
Yes, sir.
You don't win football games being desperate. You don't win football games by bringing in mediocre talent. When you're low on money, you can't restructure deals for guys who are terrible. You can't restructure a Derek Watt. You can't restructure that to where you can't even bring back guys like Ola Adeni and geez Louise. I mean, think about that. We don't have enough money to offer Ola Adeni, who was our best special teams performer last year. We can't even offer him a contract. But we can go out and sign a guy like B.J. Finney, who at best is going to give us average offensive line play. Is that what we're hoping for? At best, average?
Yeah, that's what we're hoping
But at that,
donkey.
he only plays average if he's at center. So then is he going to compete with J.C. Hassenauer? Are we really not going to do anything to improve this team?
No,
and
he's going to play guard.
And if we're not going to do anything to improve this team, oh, Jesus.
Isn't he?
Please no. I don't know. When he played guard with us, he was bad. So I am just hoping it's not at guard, and I just cannot get this ball to go in the hole.
That's a tough one.
You miss it the first time, you're in trouble. But I don't see where B.J. Finney helps. You're a cash-strapped team, and you're going to sign a guy like that who is so good he couldn't even play for the Seattle Seahawks, who needed all kinds of offensive line help. I mean, now we have even less money to spend. Any way you look at it, there's even less money on the board now, right? Like, we don't have enough money to offer Ola Adeni a contract. What are we going to do? Are we going to cut another starter because we want to bring in another guy like, do we want to bring back Al Villanueva? What is the goal here? What is the Steelers' goal with these signings? Like, where are we trying to go? Are we trying to be Worse than last year?
I don't know, Donkey.
Like,
desperation.
Let's put BJ Finney here, and we'll say the 2 potential spots he could start. And I don't know what the contract is, but I'm assuming it's more than vet minimum, right? That seems like a safe assumption. That he's going to get paid at least a little more than vet minimum.
Uncertain. Not certain on that, but I would guess. I don't know. I didn't see that deal.
Because it doesn't seem like, why would he sign this early in the offseason with the Steelers if it was just for vet minimum, right? To me, it has to be more than a vet minimum deal. If it's more than a vet minimum deal, he should be starting, is the way you have to look at it.
Well,
is he better than Matt Feiler? Is he better than Matt Feiler?
That'll put some competition at that position, though. I think they're roughly equivalent.
Yeah, but we're not re-signing Matt Feiler is what it looks like if we bring him in. You have to remember, Matt Feiler is not under contract. So you bring in Finney, it seems like you're not going to try to re-sign Feiler. So he's going to either come in and replace Feiler or come in and replace Pouncey. Is he an upgrade to either of those positions?
I don't think he is.
Okay, so then why do you make this move at the beginning of the offseason? He's the type of guy who probably would be around to sign, and if I don't make that, I'm mad at myself. Oh, I didn't make that. He's the type of guy who you can sign probably right at training camp to come in and be a camp body at vet minimum. Why is he a priority signing for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Other than this front office and this coaching staff has this hard-on for former players to come back, even if that former player was not capable of starting. We see it all the time. We have just this infatuation with bringing back fringe players. That's been the downfall of the Steelers. The Steelers' last 5-6 years, this infatuation with these fringe players and not difference makers is what is killing this team. And this is the exact show I'm talking about. This is a cash-strapped team, and their first move is, before they can talk to anybody else, we're going to sign a guy who was cut by a team that has a bad offensive line and traded from a team that has a terrible offensive line because for some reason we want to make our priority signing a guy who just can't get it done. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe BJ Finney comes and does something I've never seen, you've never seen, Seattle never saw, and Cincinnati's never seen. Maybe there's something in there that makes him all world. But if he was all world, why did we let him go in the first place?
I don't know if we ever should have. I think he's a good piece. I think he's a good puzzle piece. You know, he's able to play multiple positions. He's good to sub. If if there's an injury, I'm okay with the signing.
That sounds like a nice player to add if you're a team that has a lot of capital. If you're a team that has $80 million to spend, you can bring in a bench piece. But let's be honest here. Nice hole-in-one, by the way. That's a tricky one. Are the Steelers the type of team that can be bringing in bench pieces with as little money as they have? Is bench pieces really what the Steelers should be focused on right now?
I don't know if he's going to be a bench piece, Donkey.
So you're saying he's good enough to be a starter?
I'm saying he might have to be.
Well, no, what you said earlier was you like the signing because he brings flexibility type of stuff. I don't remember exactly what you said. We could look back at the VOD. But you were essentially saying I like him because he's a good depth piece, right?
And he is, on the offensive line, that unit, it's been riddled with some injuries the last few years, and it's good to have some depth. He might start. I'm not certain how that's all going to play out and where we're going to land with DeCastro and everybody else who needs to come back.
Are you okay with BJ Finney starting for the Steelers next year?
What's our alternative?
Draft someone. Go out and actually sign someone. Bring back Matt Feiler. Use that money on someone who has potential to be a starter.
I don't know if that's an option with the cash strap that's in place, Donkey.
I hear that, but the thing is, we're not talking, Gingy, a mid-tier guy we brought in late to be just, hey, maybe let's see what happens, right? I could see that if that's what we were doing. This was our priority signing. Our priority signing was BJ frickin' Finney.
Gotta fill up some holes in that line, Donkey.
And is he starter capable?
I think he is. Yes.
I think you're crazy. If he's starter capable, how the hell did he not even see the field for a single snap while in Seattle? Did you see how bad that Seattle offensive line was last year?
I didn't watch Seattle exclusively.
Oh, not even exclusively. Did you not see Russell Wilson just like dying all the time because his line couldn't block worth a poop?
Yeah, yes.
You know, this guy was so good, he didn't even play over any of those guys. Are you... I guess you could say, but Pittsburgh sees talent so much better than Seattle. The only spot Pittsburgh sees talent in is wide receivers.
We'll see, Donkey. I think it'll work out.
I think you're building up a 9-7 at best football team. Is that what the goal is?
I hope not.
It looks like it, because I'm going to ask you an honest question. So BJ Finney's a signing. You said we need to make signings. I don't disagree with you. That offensive line needs fixed. But if BJ Finney starts at center, is he better than Maurkice Pouncey?
Yeah. I don't know. It might be a better run blocker.
Objectively, no. Or else we would have signed him before. We wouldn't have let him go. So even the Steelers didn't think he was better than Pouncey, or we would have signed him. You know that. We had money last year. We would have signed him if we thought he was better than Pouncey. So if he's not better than Pouncey, he better be better than Filer at guard. And I've watched Finney play at guard, and while I wasn't impressed with Filer, Finney's not better than Filer at guard.
We shall see.
Yeah, I guess we can fill our pockets full of hope and dope and see what happens, but that seems like the way to a bad season. Going out and signing people who we could have had last year if we really wanted them, but we clearly didn't because they're clearly not that good. But now we're like, well, we have to bring back someone, so we're going to make him a priority signing. And at the same time, we're going to have our best special teamer, Ola Adeni, not be able to even offer to tenure because we can't afford to offer him $2 million because we decided to keep Derek Watt and re-sign BJ Finney, or reacquire BJ Finney. Like, it screams desperation to me. It screams terrible. And I now understand why we're getting phone calls from guys like Adrian Peterson and John Brown, because they're like, hey, there's a team that's willing to take on some not talented players. Let's go see if they want us too. Like, I can't see the light of the tunnel, and the way this offseason started shows me the Steelers are concerned about being 9-7 and not winning football games. You restructured Derek Watt, literally the worst starting fullback, was terribly graded as a special teams ace, which is what he was brought here to be, was terribly graded there, and we decided to restructure his contract so that we can have him back this year so we can re-sign BJ Finney. Like, I don't get what the goal is with this team. I hate to say this, but this team has lost its way, and it might be a time for a whole team makeover. Ooh, that's a good angle. How'd you do that one?
You might not be wrong there, Donkey. You might not be wrong.
And I know you're afraid of this term rebuild, but it gets a lot worse when you make moves like this. It no longer becomes a rebuild as a... Because rebuilding means, you had something to start with. We're more now at the stage that it seems more like start over. Just like I wish I could this hole. Holy hell, dude. It's not treating me well.
Tough to get in there, Donkey.
There we go.
Yeah, if BJ Finney is going to be a piece, that's a tough pill to swallow. But you never know. Like I said, I've seen acceptable play from him on the field before. It's been a couple years. A journeyman, no doubt, but hopefully brings some solid stability.
I don't see it, and the way the Steelers are doing this as him as their number one guy just makes no sense to me. Like, he's the primary target. What's next? Are we going to bring back Le'Veon Bell? A running back who's proven he doesn't have it. We're going to go sign him for $4 or $5 million just to be like, hey, we're trying something. Yeah, right in the Sphinx's mouth. I was nervous about this offseason, and every move the Steelers make makes me more nervous. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't see how, and I knew when he got cut, the Steelers were going to re-sign him because we have this infatuation with, hey, if you're a former Steeler, we want you back even if you can't perform. I mean, we so many years refused to address outside linebacker because, well, we can bring back James Harrison. And don't get me wrong, I love Devo, but bro, you know as well as I do, at the end of his career, he was not worth paying. And this infatuation just... Oh, come on now. Oh, look at that bounce. Let's go.
Lucky bounce.
I don't know, Gingy. It's just...
It's
such a terrible thing to see. When you see other teams going out there and trying to improve their roster, and then you see the Steelers just willingly accept downgrades. Like, how, when other teams are getting better, are we going to get better than them? Like, how do we catch the Bills? How do we catch the Chiefs that when they're making moves that make sense, we make moves that don't? I just want to know how this ends well as a Steelers fan. Because I want it to. It's not like I'm here like, oh, I hope they crash and burn and lose 14 games.
Kind of seems that way.
No, I really just feel like we're building a team that goes 9-7, which means we'll lose 14 games the next 2 years because, again, we'll be in a spot where we can't make a big draft pick trade. And the more and more this happens, the more and more I'm like, we're going to do the thing that's the worst thing you can do. We're building up to draft a running back in the first round. And based off the fact that first round running backs have about a 60% hit ratio, I'm nervous.
I don't know if that running back that's put in the first round is the one.
Anyone you want. I mean, there's 2 or 3 that are labeled to go in the first round. You got Najee Harris out of Alabama. You got Travis Etienne out of Clemson. The dude from North Carolina, I've heard some people say might sneak into the first round. And the thing is, I'm just here like, you never draft a running back in the first round. I mean, you can, but more often than not, you're going to get Leonard Fournette. You're going to get a good player, but not a player that makes a difference. And to me, the biggest problem the Steelers have right now is there's just not difference makers on this roster. Call me crazy, but if there is, I don't see them. I mean, Claypool has potential, but really you have one potential difference maker on your roster. Is that going to get it done at the end of the day, Gingy?
I don't think so.
Well, that was actually pretty cool. Yeah, so what's the goal here? Looking at the way this offseason has started for the Steelers, can you tell me what the goal is?
Goal is probably playoffs.
Okay, with the playoffs, this roster probably has to... Is it fair to say that the roster made up has to be better than last year's roster? Offensively.
Not necessarily.
Okay, explain to me in what world we make the playoffs without a better offense.
Defensive progression.
That's going to happen with the loss of at least 2 starters?
We'll see who get...
3 starters, probably. Mike Hilton's not going to come back. He's pretty much made that clear with his, hey, I'm looking forward to finally getting to pick my team comment. So that's 1 starter gone. Bud Dupree's outside of our price range. So that's 2 starters gone, guaranteed. And probably based off his play last year, Tyson Alualu's gone because he's probably going to look to get one more mediocre-ish payday. That'd be 3 starters gone. Explain to me how we make a better defense losing 3 starters.
It's going to be tough.
Damn straight it's going to be impossible.
Oh, it's a tough one.
I should just did the theory I had the first time. So if our defense deproves, our offense would have to improve. And the moves we're making doesn't look like we're going to improve our offense. I mean, say what you want. Whoever BJ Finney replaces, he's not going to be better than. Based off his career to this point. And it's not like he's a first-year guy. He's in his 5th or 6th year. And anyone he goes to replace, he will not be better than. So that's a downgrade right there. You're going to lose Juju Smith-Schuster. Whoever replaces him is likely a downgrade. Maybe you get the same production out of a running back who replaces James Conner. That's a big maybe. But then you have to replace your left tackle. You have to replace your right tackle. Well, I guess you don't have to replace your left tackle. Or right tackle. You replace your left tackle. You still have to replace your left guard or center. And they're probably looking like downgrades. You have to replace your best blocking tight end, which I guess we can argue whether or not that matters since none of their tight ends could block last year. Or could do anything, really. They all kind of sucked. Ooh, that's unfortunate. But I just don't see where this team is getting better. This team is, like, unless you're telling me Ben's going to have a career renaissance at 39.
I don't know about that.
Is that what I'm supposed to believe? Is that Ben Roethlisberger's going to get better and that's how this team's going to get better? Is because Ben's going to play better?
That's
because if it's not Ben playing better, okay. But if it's not Ben playing better, then who? Where is this team objectively going to be able to get better? When signings are guys like BJ Finney. When the little bit of money you have is wasted on guys like that.
You got to fill out a full roster, donkey.
I get that, but why waste your limited capital on replacement level players? I hear what you're saying, and I don't think you're wrong. You do have to fill out a full roster, but why are we wasting our limited capital on a fringe level player?
Your opinion of BJ Finney is pretty low, donkey.
My opinion of BJ Finney's the same as everybody else in the NFL.
It's just based on a depth chart spot. I don't know what type of scheme Seahawks were running out there. Apparently it was a barn fire scheme because nothing was working for them on the offensive line. So
I ran out of time because I wasn't paying attention. And Gingy beats me because I ran out of time. But
you're welcome.
I know your Yinzer's coming out here, but you can't seriously tell me you feel comfortable with BJ Finney starting at any spot on that offensive line.
I really don't, donkey. But during this cash crunch type of year, anybody with any level of NFL experience or quality talent that we're going to be able to put out there on that offense to try to right that ship is somebody who I want to add. Because whatever happened at the end of last year didn't work. And our run game
so you want to be 9-7
traditionally. No, I do not. Like I said,
you just said you're willing to bring out anyone with NFL talent. That's the way you get mediocre. That's the way you become the 1995 through 2012 Pittsburgh Pirates. When you sign these people that, hey, they're not the worst we could do, that's how you become a loser, is when not only does the front office accept that, but then the fans refuse to hold them accountable. And they start saying, man, why should we care? At least they're fielding someone. At least we signed Derek Bell. At least we signed Josh Fogg. Like, this is loser talk.
At least we
brought in BJ Finney is loser talk. The dude has proven in multiple stops, including in Pittsburgh, He can't be a starter. So what do? We make him our priority signing, our signing numero uno. Why? Because we're okay with, hey, mediocre at best. See? Woo. That's a hole in one, by the way.
Woo, Chuck it up.
Let's go. But explain to me how this signing isn't exactly what I just said.
Like I said, you think BJ Finney is terrible. I don't.
Like I don't think he's terrible. I think
you can't talk with you.
He's replacement level at best. At best, replacement level guard. Replacement level center.
And that's what we need.
No, you need starters, not replacement level players.
We can't afford starters, donkey, and free agency.
You definitely can't when you waste all your money on mid-tier guys. I would rather have one good starter and then pray a draft pick works than 7 BJ Finneys. The fact of the matter is the Steelers are more happy having 7 replacement level linemen than one good one with the potential of young because they're so afraid of starting youth. They're so afraid of becoming irrelevant.
Draft. Not to line at this starter level quality.
That's the best spot to do it, but they're... How does this whole work? Okay. The BJ Finney signing to me is gonna set a precedent that I think I was lucky. You're gonna see a lot through the Steelers. You know what we're gonna end up doing at running back? We're gonna take a flyer on someone like Adrian Peterson. You know how we're gonna refill the slot from Juju? We're gonna take a flyer on someone like Golden Tate. And then we're going to overpay people. And then these contracts are going to bleed into next year. And then next year, again, we won't be able to sign any top-tier talent because, well, we still don't have any money because, well, we got BJ Finney. See, I think you're here trying to build a mediocre team in a year where the Steelers should just realize this team's done. This team had its chance. You're not going to be able to make this year's roster better than last year's. And I hate to break it to you, anyone who thinks you can is pretty delusional. But what's worse is, if you don't make next year's roster better, then you're in for a big drop. You're talking a division that already has 3 teams that are approaching top-tier talent, if not top-tier talent. At quarterback, at wide receiver, at offensive line. Like, this is... There's a dino in the hole. I don't know, dude. It is what it is. To me, this signing showed that the Steelers are going the wrong way. I think we're in for a dark time. We've been in a dark time if you're a Steelers fan. I mean, yeah, I know playoffs are fine, but even that, we're barely making the playoffs every other year. This is not what we're used to. This is not something me and you have ever seen.
It's been close a couple years.
Mediocre Steeler football.
Back in the late 90s.
The late 90s, we sniffed a Super Bowl. We haven't even sniffed a playoff win in a decade. Nah, that's not true. In 5 years, half a decade. Like, I think Steeler fans are like, well, Ben's won us 2 Super Bowls, and because of that statement, they completely forget how long it's been since we've been to a Super Bowl. Like, we like to laugh at the Dallas Cowboys, and by the way, oh my God, Dak getting that contract was ridiculous. But we're not much better than the Dallas Cowboys.
I think we're a little better than the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, you like to say that. How many playoff wins have we had the last 5 years?
Oh, even just look at last season, donkey.
Yeah, our quarterback was healthy the whole year. They lost the player at the most important position. Look what they did the year before with Dak healthy, and I don't think Dak's the answer. And I understand they were playing bad football when Dak was healthy. I understand that. But the thing is, Dallas realized Tony Romo isn't going to completely get it done, and Tony Romo even realized it, and they moved on, and Dak is a better version, and Dak did lead them to a 12-4 season 2 years ago, I believe, right?
Yes, I think so.
I don't see how we're any better than Dallas. I mean, you could say, well, we've won Super Bowls more recently. Yeah, but I mean, they seem to be doing things a little smarter than us right now.
They're going to have a cap problem, the same one we had here in about 3 years.
Yeah, but...
they better get it done now. Just like the Steelers needed to get it done. And it's going to be dark time.
It is, and we're just what the hell? I hit a jellyfish. We're just prolonging it by the signing mediocre players early. Like, we know this year there is going to be a cash crunch for a lot of teams because of lowering of the salary cap. That means there is going to be the potential late in free agency to get a lot of mid-tier talented guys on affordable contracts. So instead of waiting and getting these mid-tier guys on affordable contracts, what do the Steelers do? They bite at the first fish that they had previously known. That's how you become a loser. It's bad business. It's bad everything. Enjoy the 9-7, Pittsburgh, because that's what we're getting. I hope everybody's prepared for it. I hope everybody's ready for it. I hope everybody's going to be happy with it, because here we come, 9-7, baby. That's what I got for this week, Gingy. You got anything else?
I got nothing else for you, donkey.
You got a shout out ready this time?
No shout outs this week, donkey. We're gonna save them for some real news.
But that's about the realest news we're gonna get. There was a signing this week who's going to be my shout out, and that's Marcus Allen. Congrats on you and getting another contract with the Steelers. I actually liked your play, and I really like the DB becoming a linebacker that he did so well for us. And I think there's something to be said about it, and I think he deserves a lot more credit than he's given, because that's not an easy transition, and he actually looked pretty decent in his limited play last year. So my shout outs to Marcus Allen. I hope he turns around. I hope he turns really good, and I hope he stays a little healthier this time instead of getting broken every time he goes to tackle someone bigger than him. But anyway, that'll do it for us here at your Daily Dose of Donkey with Ginger. You can hit us up on the socials. Feel free to visit me at my Twitch page or Twitter. Sometimes I put stuff on there. It's Viking_Donkey. Xbox Live's just Viking Donkey. You can hit up Gingy at
Mutant Gingy, Xbox Live gaming. We golfing with friends right now. It's the time.
And here's hopefully to brighter days. Thanks everybody for tuning in. It's really appreciated. We hope to catch you all next week. Have a good one.
Steelers Nation, wave 'em if you got 'em, baby. Let's go.